Hello everyone and welcome to another solo play. So in this video I'm going to be playing Last Sabbath by, I may be butchering this pronunciation, Officina Meningi. They actually wrote the Edgar Allan Poe game book I played a wee while ago on my channel. And this game is a rules light journaling game. And I am going to use tarot as my prompt. So with this game, there is a D6 table you can choose from in each scene. Because the way this game is set up, there are 7 scenes, and your characters move through each scene, you journal what happens, and yeah, you can just choose prompts from a D6 table, but instead I'm using the tarot option. Now there's also other options such as tea leaves, mikado, and what else was there? There was one more, let me see. Tea leaves, mikado. Rune stones. Okay. So yeah, I'm opting for tarot because I want to sort of reinvigorate my tarot knowledge. I've got my little book of essential tarot here to get a vibe for what I'm doing. Now, the way this game works is when my characters are journaling, so I'm choosing to play with 2 witches. I'll be playing solo. I could have used 3, but I've decided to knock it back a bit because I think I'm going to write quite extensively. And for this video, I want to move everyone along the game relatively, not quickly, but more expediently than if I was playing this on my own. And usually also there's about 3 rounds in a scene. I'm going to go for 1. So what's going to happen is because my witches only get 1 round, each record they make will be a memory. Now that's important because when they have to expend certain powers or do certain things, they have to cross out a memory. So my witches may be quite forgetful very quickly, and I think I'm going to view that into this game. So my witches are probably going to get pretty unstable pretty quickly. But I'm playing that deliberately because yeah, I thought it'd be quite interesting actually in dealing with that type of mechanic, and yeah, it would just be fascinating to see how it pans out and how tragic their lives get. So to begin, I've done a little bit of prep behind the scenes. So I've got 2 witches called Ethel and Sabrina. Now, in the book, there are options where you can roll for like an origin. So Ethel is an innate witch. That means she was kind of born with her powers. They come naturally. And her speciality is elemental. So she's all about everything nature, you know, fire, wind, water, earth. Sabrina, she is a little bit more complex. Her magic comes from an object she found. And this is, I've got it down as like a shark tooth necklace. Is it really a shark tooth necklace? Or do those teeth come for something more sinister, like another witch who's filed them down? And her speciality is necromancy. So she's all about raising the dead, talking to dead, manipulating the dead. So there are 2 witches I feel complement each other. One, I suppose, is more associated with life, with the elements, and the other is more death. So yeah, I'm going to begin by opening with scene 1, which is the call. So each scene is broken down into leading questions and the scene objectives. So the objective of this scene is to introduce the characters and describe the setting. Leading questions are things we could potentially journal about if we're stuck for ideas. What force brought the witches together? Were they summoned by a benevolent entity or led into a trap by a demon? Are they responding to a call for help, or were they drawn by a mysterious impulse? Do the witches gather in a familiar place or in a setting they've never seen before? Did they already know each other, or are they interacting with each other for the first time? Is the coven a close-knit group, or does it hold onto a weak and tentative alliance? What motivations drive each sister to join? So these are the prompts I could roll against if I don't want to pull tarot cards. And again, when I'm pulling tarot cards, I think I'm pulling 2 cards at a time. So prompts: a call for help resonates in your mind like the cry of a distraught spirit. What is its origin and essence? You suddenly find yourself in an unfamiliar place. What has brought you here? What elements manifest the presence or intentions of this entity? The mother comes to you in a dream, inviting you to join your sisters. Where will the Sabbath take place? What will it bring you? In an eerie vision, you see a meeting you feel you must attend. What prompts you to go? How would you describe the place you saw? You receive a blood-signed letter containing an invitation. Who is sending it? Where is the meeting taking place? During a nightmare, you perceive the thoughts of some sisters. What are you dreaming about? What secrets are being revealed to you? Ooh. Okay, so with all that in mind, I know that I've got to build kind of, it's this bit, I suppose, more exposition in a way. Actually, I might read the note quickly. Note, your imagination is the defining element of the place and the characters, each of which will be able to decide how they are getting to the meeting point, or whether they are already there. Whether to consider it familiar or alien, whether to explore or fear it. The only thing you necessarily have in common is the motivation that brought the coven together. A presence and impulse. A request or any other element that is at the origin of the call. Okay, so I'm kind of already thinking that my two witches already know each other. So the coven is already set up in that respect. What I kind of want to do now is maybe set the scene for what they're thinking and feeling at the time. Has anything happened in this coven? So I'm just going to go to the tarot section. And then we'll pull our first two cards. So, one runes there. So here we go, tarot. So let's see what we get and what the associated prompts are. So we've got the Chariot, which is journey, triumph, talent, achievement, willpower. Characters, artist, guide, guru, traveller. And then we've got death. So the prompt for death here is resolution, transformation, loss, death, collapse, disease. Characters, threat, enemy, vengeful mother, ghost. So maybe we could do something that they're going against the mother. You know, this essence that gives them their power. But what I'm going to do is also read my little tarot book just to get some more insight. So let's have a look. The Chariot. I think that's kind of near. Is that in the front of the Chariot? Oh no, it's about number 7, okay. So, Emperor, Hierophant, Lovers. The Chariot. The Chariot card represents gaining control over conflicting forces. The charioteer in the card is trying to control the two horses which are pulling the chariot. The horses, one red, one blue, represent principles pulling opposite directions. The opposites that were united in the previous Lovers card must now be kept moving in the same direction. At this stage in his journey, the fool must use all his strength to keep on the right track. By seeing what has been done and taking control of the situation, obstacles will be overcome. If we manage to keep the opposite forces on the same path, we will go far. Events in the querent's life are moving quickly. Ooh. Okay, that is interesting. So I'm going to think these witches are going to be conflicted about doing something. So... And basically, in a way, I'm quite glad how this card has worked out, because it's like, do you make one choice or do you make another? So conflicted. I think they're about to make a bad decision. Got to take a risk. And now we have Death. Now, I know a little bit. I think Death is the most famous, tarot card almost, talked about. So I know it can be associated with transformation as well as just dying, I suppose. Death. I am the change that all must face in order to be born anew. The card of Death depicts a skeleton with a scythe moving across a field of disembodied parts, most notably even the crowned head of a king. This suggests that the old order has ended and a new era is about to begin. At this stage in the journey, the fool must accept approaching endings and uncertainty about the future. The endings may be difficult and painful, but we must learn to accept them. After a period of mourning and adjustment, we'll be able to move on and embark on a new path. Change is inevitable. As we come to terms with this loss, we are transformed to enjoy a brighter future. Interesting. Okay. So, again, I think that harks back again to the Chariot. Is quite complimentary. It's like, will the outcome be for the better or worse? So I'm going to start with, I think, Ethel first. Now, she is an elemental witch, born with her talents. I think maybe she inherited them. But they haven't been seen in her family for a very long time. So I suppose it's a case of this genetic quirk, let's say, has been buried, higher up in the family tree, and they've gone several generations without anyone having any sort of magical ability. And Ethel, let's just say, is the first in 4 generations to have this, natural talent with controlling fire and water and things like that. So Ethel, so we got, because actually I could pull two tarot cards per character, or I could use both of them and apply them to the same character. Oh, I'm undecided. Okay, so because I'm changing this a little bit to the rules. I think I imagine if I was playing this normally, each character would get their own individual prompt. But I think because I'm playing solo and I kind of know what my characters are doing, I think I could probably get away with using the same cards for my second witch as well. But we'll see. Because at the minute I'm treating them as one entity and they're two people responding to that entity. Okay, so the call. So I'm thinking it's Ethel's birthday. So Ethel's birthday, and let's just say she is turning 21, a significant age. And let's just say at this age, they know from rumours in the family that this is when her powers begin to come into their own. Begin to... You know, she's starting to reach full strength now. She was a teen, then an adult, young adult, and now 21 is that sort of defining moment where she becomes a lot more powerful. So I'm thinking the catalyst here, they've had an invitation, almost like a, God, I think I'm going down more like a Hunger Games route potentially. So she's been invited to a coming of age ceremony that she knew nothing about, where she can meet other witches and they basically have to prove their worth to win a prize. And let's just say not every witch who is coming of age gets invited. This is a very prestigious event, and if you turn it down, there are consequences. People have gone missing. And the family, let's just say, the family is called Leclerc. So Leclerc's run this sort of ceremony, this party of sorts, but not really that. And they are associated, they're a very powerful, magical family, but not a lot is known about them. Very secretive. In fact, people, you know, they're not sure if maybe they're just admirers of the occult and the magic was lost in that family a long time ago, or if there are actual very strong witches and warlocks among them, but they just live a very secretive life. So are there genuine witches and warlocks in this family? I'd wager yes. Or are they just relying on their generational notoriety and surviving on assets and power that's been acquired over generations? Okay, so to begin with her memory. Now again, I'm writing my records as memory straight away. So normally what you do, you'd have like 3, 5 or 7 rounds just in one scene. So that makes your game very long and very rich. You get a very rich story out of that. But the purpose of this video, I'm having 1 record per witch, and that record is their memory. So there is no choice about which records become memories. I'm just going straight into it. And again, that's what's going to make the game go off the rails a little bit, because when they lose memories, they'll be very significant parts of their lore. So the witches will act in a very, questionable way, because yeah, their minds are essentially falling apart. Okay, so it's her birthday and she is at home, I'd say, with Sabrina. So, how do I begin this? A letterbox rattled. and the gentle thud signalled more cards had arrived. I'm very lucky to have such thoughtful friends and family. I was absolutely ecstatic. I had already received some lovely gifts for my birthday, but that all changed when I saw the invite to Leclerc's event. It happens every year. I knew from that moment my life was about to change, though I'm not sure it's for the better. Ooh, okay, so she's just received that invite to the, what shall I call it? Leclerc's annual magical games. Okay, and I don't know what the law is that means basically you're forced into doing this if you receive an invite. Because knowing the Hunger Games, it was all part of the state and a punishment for uprisings and things. So maybe this could be something like that, but perhaps it's to ensure prosperity and to appease, let's just say they're framing it to appease a mother. Yes, that's what it is. Okay, so I'm going to add something to this. Not sure it's the better. They say this contest is a test of wills to demonstrate to the mother that we appreciate everything she bestows upon us. Okay, so maybe the mother isn't necessarily this all, seeing benevolent entity. Maybe the mother is actually quite an oppressive entity that, it's almost like, I suppose, a sacrificial thing that's changed throughout the years. It's become more ornate, more grand, more elaborate, kind of hiding the fact that these witches and warlocks are entering this contest. As I say, it's a test of wills, but essentially, a lot of them are probably going to die during this. So, yeah, oh God, this is taking a rather sinister turn. So, yeah, these games are lethal and non-negotiable. And let's just say, like the Hunger Games, if she were to refuse her invite, it goes to her next relative. Not necessarily, and if she doesn't have any sisters, it'll go to, say, a cousin or something like that. And, the poor relative may not even know who this person is, but they get lumbered with this invite. And Jen, I think the person that turns down the invite conveniently goes missing. So it's not like, let's just say they didn't have a conscience. It's not like they can just get away with it because they don't care, like something bad will happen to them. Okay. Right. So that's Ethel. It's her 21st birthday. She was ecstatic. She was getting a lot of gifts and presents from friends. And then she gets this invitation to, what did I call it? Leclerc's annual magical games. So she has to compete in these dangerous trials. And witches and warlocks have died during these. They're not for the faint of heart. And she can't turn down the invite because she's putting the rest of her family at risk if she does, and herself, of course. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation at the minute. Okay, so that is memory 1, which is an invite to Leclerc's annual magical games. Okay, that'd be when she forgets that would be very interesting when she's in the games and forgets why she's there, or what it is. Okay, so our next witch is Sabrina, and this is she's a very interesting witch. So she got her powers from this shark necklace she found, and I'm going to say she found this necklace while, I'd say she's a little bit of a risk-seeking person, and she was doing a bit of, sort of urban exploration. And she broke into this old house and found this necklace in a box in an attic. Box in attic. And when she put it on, everything changed. It was like she could almost feel her blood heating up. And there was a crack. She swore there was a crack of thunder and lightning outside. And ever since she has put necklace on, she actually can't take it off. It's pretty much, I want to say it's stuck to her skin, but when she tries to lift it up, it's almost like at the back, it's catching the back of her neck, and she physically can't remove it. It's almost a powerful magnetic force. And since she's had this necklace on, she's realised she can talk to the dead. Does she know she can raise the dead yet? I don't know. Let's just keep that as a caveat. Doesn't know she can raise the dead. Maybe this is revealed to her later. Okay, and where is Sabrina at this point? So I say Sabrina is sitting with Ethel in her home. So yeah, Sabrina also hears the letterbox rattle. And yeah, it's Ethel's birthday. So, you know, why wouldn't she be receiving cards and things like that? And she just remembers Ethel's face being pale and quite ashen. So I might start with, I can never shake the memory of seeing Ethel's face. She came into the living room clutching a stack of cards, but her face was drained. Her eyes were wide with shock. She didn't say a word when she sat next to me. All she could do was hand me the invitation in silence. As soon as I saw it, I understood. We've yet to open it, but no doubt. We've yet to open it, but actually I'm going to say we already know what it's going to say. Ethel isn't prepared for this. I have no idea why she would be chosen. She's too kind, too soft. I'm worried for her, but I don't show it. Okay, so yeah, I kind of imbued a bit of lore into that. And I just realised that really complements her powers, sort of skipping generations, because, you know, why is she being chosen for this event? What's special about her? Maybe it's because this elemental power has manifested in her that has been silent in her family tree for many, many years. Maybe the Leclercs are a bit interested by this, and that's why she's been invited. Or it could be something else entirely. Okay. So, yes, I've left those 2 tarot cards there. I'm going to put them back and reshuffle. Well, actually, no, I could keep these out, actually, because I'm not doing a lot of rounds. And I think, yeah, I don't want to get the same prompts again, because I don't want it to be too repetitive. So, yeah, I'll leave them out of the deck. Okay, right. Scene 2. The initiation reveals the entity or instant originating the call, and this will test the power of each sister. In accepting the mission, the coven will receive the first essential insights and dangers they will face, and gain a greater awareness of their potential. Deepening the purpose of the union and nature of each character's individual powers will allow you to direct the story towards a common goal. Okay, so scene objectives. Define the origin and purpose of the mission, assign or test the powers. Leading question. In what way is the force or event that gathered the coven manifested, and what do you learn about the nature of the mission? Oh, this is quite good. Okay, this leans into more what I'm writing about. How are the characters' powers being tested? Will the witches have to prove themselves worthy to respond to the call, or will magic be assigned to them as a gift for being rushed? What kind of sacrifice is demanded of the coven? What is offered in return? In this scene, each witch can decide how to utilise, activate or receive their power responding to the revealed entity or event that brought the coven together. The choice is individual and free. The instigator's identity, if not defined in the previous scene, should be described by the first witch of the round. Okay, so we know the identity is this Leclerc family, and the event is this annual game where witches have to complete certain tasks. So we have some prompts here which we can roll for if we were going to do that. Prompt 1. The Mother, marvellous and terrible, manifests herself. Her presence brings peace and balance to the world of elements. Although her voice vibrates the concern, what her demands? What kind of gift does she bestow? A community is haunted by mysterious happenings that are bringing it to ruin. In what condition is it now? What reward is expected for help? A familiar makes its presence known and then disappears, leaving a trail of clues that lead to a Sabbath of mythical creatures. Are they welcoming or hostile to intruders? For what reason have they come together? A spirit wanders into the meeting place, murmuring disjointed phrases in a voice broken by tears. In his delirium, he utters a familiar name. Will it be necessary to use the power to attract his attention? What is his reaction? The power is activated with no one being able to oppose it. In the meantime, a presence is in control of its effects. What secrets have been revealed, and at what cost? A hidden gateway protected by an incantation leads to a place populated by legendary creatures. Who has been hiding them and for what reason? What would they sacrifice to be let out? Ooh, okay. Right, so I'm going to pull my next 2 tarot cards. So we have Temperance and, ooh, the Devil. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to begin with Ethel. So let's look up Temperance, see if we can... Oh, actually, no, I'm going to look it up in the chart first just to see what this says. So that's runes. Temperance. Healing, moderation, balance, reciprocity, friendship, help. Characters: angel, spirit, ally, healer. So that's interesting. Maybe from this prompt, I'm going to say she can have an ally in this competition. And that ally is obviously going to be Sabrina. Okay, so I think, yeah, that is the help inside this card, the nature of it. So let's have a little read of what it says in my tarot book. Temperance. I'm the key to keeping your head. Oh, very apt. The Temperance card shows the figure of an angel pouring liquid from one vessel into another. This indicates that feelings are able to flow freely. It may signify a guardian angel watching over us. The card represents balance, healing and harmony. The fool has learnt to master his thoughts and feelings and can now have harmonious relationships with others. We should act in moderation. Compromise is the key to any problem. We have the ability to manage a situation, resolve problems. Events will run smoothly and success can be achieved. This card indicates that good relationships are possible. Okay, I think that fits well with kind of what I got from here in that, yeah, the person who is coming to her aid will be Sabrina, and that weaves into the plot because she is now like a +1 to this competition, her ally, who is allowed to help her, provide advice, coach her. Okay, so that's quite cool. So now let's look at the devil. So instinct, eros, creativity, addiction, deception, temptation, trap, characters, threat, demon, enemy, ghost. So yeah, the devil, what number is the devil? That's 15. So I think they're quite far at the end. Okay, so that's 20. Here we go. I'm the shadow you need to see in the light. The devil card may fill us with fear and dread because the devil is a Christian symbol associated with evil. The card does not indicate evil, but asks us to confront the shadowy, instinctual part of ourselves. Finding the perfect balance of the angel and the temperance card, interesting, the fool is reminded those parts of himself that are self-serving and uncooperative, which I try to keep hidden away even from himself. When his card appears in a spread, things we don't like to admit about our character and desires may be trying to break into our consciousness. We may encounter these unwelcome qualities in others or in our dreams. A neglected part of us needs to be heard. Personal gain and success in one's career is indicated by this card. We are advised to act in our own interests. So I'm thinking maybe Ethel, despite Sabrina being an ally, Ethel is really starting to feel frightened now. And yeah, I think the devil card is her confronting her fears. And maybe this is seeping into her magic. Maybe she's realising some darkness to her powers that she's never seen before. Okay, so if I go back to the prompts, what does it want me to do? So scene 2, okay, yep, receive first essential insights, dangers they will face, and gain greater awareness of their potential, deepen the purpose and union nature of each character's individual powers, will allow you to direct the story towards a common goal. Okay, so I'm going to write another record / memory for Ethel. I'm going to fast forward it in time a bit, so I'm going to say 3 weeks have passed since I got the invitation. Little did I know preparations started immediately. Thankfully, I was able to take Sabrina on this horrifying journey with me. A journey I did not ask for. I'm not sure if it's a coming of age effect, but my powers are growing in strength day by day, sometimes hour by hour. I even scare myself with some of the abilities I am beginning to wield. I fear for Sabrina's safety sometimes. I accidentally brought a tree down the other day while practicing. So I'm not going to lose a memory for this because she's just talking about in hindsight that, you know, as part of her training for the initiation to this ceremony. Okay, so I think I've addressed that she's happy, Sabrina, thankful, is her companion in this, though I think she's very worried for her and kind of doesn't want her to be at the same time. She's quite conflicted. She's relieved, but at the same time, she doesn't want to bring her into the situation because it's dangerous. And yeah, she's kind of seeing how her powers are manifesting and the fear that is coming out of this. And maybe she's also wondering, is the fear prompting these powers, her sort of darker nature, how she accidentally, tore a tree from its roots, and obviously being an elemental, her magic is all about giving life to the earth and things like that, and how, I think she's troubled that she actually destroyed something so, I suppose, innocent in a way in her eyes. So next we're going to go to, I think, Sabrina, and I don't think we're going to lose any memories just yet as powers, which is quite good. So I've got a few in the bank now, they've got one each. So Sabrina, I think I'm going to remark on kind of her reaction to Ethel and kind of what she thinks. So seeing Ethel grow in power gives me some relief that she might just come out alive of this contest. I've been granted as much access to the Leclerc estate as Ethel, as I am her chaperone or designated support at this time. Ethel is worried about her abilities, but I am not, as they will no doubt save her life when it's between her and another witch. I just need her to win so we can both go home. I refuse to leave her here. I won't abandon her, no matter how tough the coming months will get. So yeah, I was going to say weeks, but I think I might stretch this out by a few months, because yeah, like 12 weeks, 3 months, we've got a bit of leeway there. You have to really extend it, we go up to 18 months, 24 months. So yeah, I'm not sure what the time span of this story will be, but yeah, and how far away Ethel is from this competition or game. So yeah, I want to give myself a bit of flexibility in the time frame. Okay. So notes, in this scene, each witch can decide how to utilise, activate or receive their power, responding to a revealed entity or event that brought the coven together. The choice is individual and the instigator's identity, if not divined in the previous scene, should be described by the first witch of the round. Okay, I might add a bit more about her necromancy in here. I haven't told Ethel this yet, but one of the coaches said to me I should undergo proper training for my ability, as I may not be in a place to control what I bring back to life, if I can even do that. Since being at Leclerc's estate, my necromancy powers have dulled. I haven't heard many voices in a while, and that in itself is odd and troubling. Is someone dulling my magic? Ooh, okay, I'm going to put that in actually. That's quite good because I feel like it gives us another thread to put on for the plot. Okay, so the two witches are now at the Leclerc estate and are preparing for the games or the ceremony that poor Ethel has to go into. And Sabrina is her +1 that's been dragged into this. They say she's there for moral support, but she's kind of like, I don't know, I'm having a few weird comments said to me about my powers. And, you know, I haven't heard any chats from beyond the grave. And that is odd because she's so used to hearing sort of spirits of the dead. And it's just so quiet. And she goes, there has to be a reason for that. You know, why in this estate, of all places, very historical, you know, there's a mausoleum here. She goes, I should be hearing so much, but there's nothing, it's silence. So she's worried about maybe her powers being subdued somewhat. So yeah, why? You know, and if they are, why is that happening? Okay, scene 3, danger. So we have 2 memories each now. So let's put these cards back in a separate pile and draw another 2 more. So, scene 3, we have the Star and Tower. So what are the objectives of this scene? So, facing the danger, identifying some features of the threat, directing the investigation. So, in this scene, signs, causes and effects of the threat will emerge with clarity first time. As a coven faces the disruptive element, it will gain insights leading it towards the investigation for what it will take to defeat the threat, or avert its effects in order to accomplish the mission. Leading questions. What exactly is a danger and what does it tell you about the threat? Under which circumstances does the coven face a danger? Do the sisters provide some clues, or do they encounter entities or creatures that compel them to use their power? Does the danger put the lives of other individuals at risk? Would they be willing to ally with the coven or provide valuable information in return for your help? Ooh, okay. Note, the goal of the mission assigned to the witches may not necessarily be limited to defeating a threat. The coven could actually pursue another goal, finding a cure for the curse that affects the sirens, or the Philosopher's Stone formula, and be thwarted in its path by antagonistic entities or creatures that would benefit from the coven's failure. Okay, so I suppose in a way the tension is ratcheting up now with the Leclerc's I suppose, ceremony, and maybe getting to the bottom of why this ceremony exists to begin with, and potentially dismantling it, you know, razing it to the ground. So I think, yeah, that is the threat, is the family, the magical family that put on this event for witches and warlocks to basically battle their way through, win a prize. Tends to happen when they're coming of age or when their power is beginning to sort of blossom and ignite. And there could be a reason why they choose specific witches and warlocks. So, for example, with Ethel, her magic has skipped several generations, so it's like, how did they know about that? Why they recruited her into this? And yeah, I think we're getting more into the conspiracy now. Okay, so if I now again begin with this time, I think I need to start with Sabrina actually, because I suppose I started with Ethel the first 2 times, when really I should be switching up between the witches, so each one gets to open the scene. So with Sabrina at the minute, she is helping Ethel and is kind of her +1 in this event. So I'm going to look up the star for Sabrina and just to get a gist of what that means. Obviously, I'll look it up in the book as well. So what number is a star? So that is 17 by the looks of it, so it's quite a way down. 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I am hope bright as Sirius in the night sky. The star is a welcome symbol of hope, inspiration, and rebirth to the full in the wake of difficulties and uncertainties encountered in the Devil and Tower cards. Okay, I think I need to shuffle these more because I'm picking these at the same time. In this card, we see a star shining brightly in the sky above a beautiful woman who is emptying jugs of water into a stream. It represents feelings of being returned to the source. Healing is possible and our sense of well-being is renewed. There is hope for the future and new possibilities are beginning to form. We are ready to give and receive love. The star promises change for the better. This is a good time to meet new people, apply for jobs and aspire towards what's really important to us. Okay, so as the tension is building, there is a bit of hope there. So maybe they find an ally or something that will help them in their quest of, getting Ethel to win this event. And yeah, to bring down the Leclerc family for putting everyone through this. Okay, so let's go to the tower. The tower is, I think, one behind, 16. I am the crisis that is the making of you. The tower card shows a tall building that has been struck by lightning. It is in flames and about to topple over. The lightning signifies that the gods are angry or disapproving. The fool encounters sudden and disruptive changes and crises which force him to question his journey. This card suggests that the times are volatile, things are not going according to plan, and the old order is in danger of being overthrown. We should not try to hold on and save the toppling tower. It is best to stand back and wait for things to settle. We may face uncertainty for a while. This card asks us to reevaluate our current path. A sudden complete change may be the best way forward. I suppose a tower represents the situation they are in, so their lives are changing. For the better or for worse, we don't know. So, yeah, I think they're kind of already going through that, and I think this just reinforces this is a huge upheaval. And, yeah, change, whether they like it or not, is coming, which is indicated by them being part of this competition. Okay, I'm just going to look up what it says in the book as well. Here we go. So I think we were 15 and 16. Okay, the tower. Danger, driving force, ruin, catastrophe, release, illumination, raging mother, threat, divine entity. Okay, so this could relate to if the mother is a force for good, as they're led to believe. Or is she something else entirely? And we have the star, sacrifice, hospitality, hope, longing, grace, peace. Merciful mother, muse, musician, wise man. Okay, interesting. So it's kind of like we don't know either way. The mother could be the good entity, like we're led to believe. Or maybe she's a more sinister entity. Maybe the mother is something over time Mattel people told to kind of soften the blow of kind of what maybe there was an event, and perhaps the mother is something that is quite suffocated and pushed down, I suppose, the true mother. And maybe the true mother is hoping to get out of this. Okay, so for scene 3, I think I'm ready to start journaling this. So I'm thinking they're progressing through the competition. Ethel is growing in power. I don't think I'm going to start the competition yet. I might move the timeline on like 1 week later. And maybe Ethel is about to go into her first trial and they're preparing for this. So yeah, the threat is looming, it's upon them now. And yeah, it's all about getting Ethel ready so she is able to defeat what is to come. So Sabrina is, she's going to start with Ethel's training has stepped up. Her powers are increasing by the day. I think she has a little coach. I might introduce a coach at this point because that can be maybe the hope. Her coach, say Sybil, is spending so much time with her, and it's really paying off. I still can't hear the voices that I found so comforting The dead are really silent here, and I don't know why. Ethel tells me to leave it, as I could be putting myself in danger, yet I can't seem to let it go. Oh, interesting. So I suppose Sabrina's now getting her own little B plot of this necromancy stuff, where, yeah, she's helping Ethel, but at the same time, something's up with this house and she wants to get to the bottom of it. Okay, so Ethel, who is, I suppose, our main protagonist in the coven of two. What can I say? My coach, Sybil, is pushing me really hard. Some days I don't know how far I can go on. She has every fourth weekend off, along with some of the other coaches. I've noticed this falls whenever we have a full moon. I told Sabrina about this and she laughed. There's no such thing as werewolves, or is there? But I'm starting to think there is. My first trial is next week, and I feel prepared, but I'm so nervous. I've yet to meet the Leclercs or other contestants. How many of them would there be? Apparently, I'm going to say it's 5. There are... Yeah, I'm going to say 5. No, 4. 4 of us. I'm still none the wiser why I was burdened with this. I'm lucky, according to Sybil, to be blessed with such an honour, but I don't believe her. Ooh, okay, so what would the prompts have been? So I've kind of got my own tangent here of like introspection with my character. So the prompts would be: a catastrophic event has struck a densely populated area and magical intervention is needed to save lives. What triggered the tragedy? What effect does your action cause? An injured creature is running at full steam, terrified of its pursuer. Who or what threatens it? How risky is it to intervene? An evil force or creature tricked you, leading you into a trap. How did you escape death? What clues did your persecutor leave behind? A strange disease is consuming the plants in your path. What has struck them? What evidence leads back to the cause of their illness? A place that is sacred to you has been violated. How has the evil manifested itself? How pervasive and dangerous is it? Some shadows are following you. How have you detected their presence? Do you decide to confront or ignore them? Okay, I was getting a bit concerned there because some of those prompts at the beginning were like very, very high stakes. So the catastrophic event, the injured creature, I thought, oh, should I be getting into the action now? But no, I feel I'm going to save that for scene 4 when the competition begins and Ethel is confronted with, you know, perhaps dire choices she needs to make, or she needs to start maybe casting spells that are going to take memories, potentially kill her. We don't know. Because again, this game, I want it to go off the rails, which is why every record is a memory. I'm not going to have, they're not going to have any records spare that are going to, say, act as insurance or a buffer if they start losing memories. Like when they lose a memory, a significant chunk of their life is gone. So yeah, in a way, I kind of want to maybe front load a few of the memories from scenes 1 to 3. So we've got about 3 each now. So yeah, when they start dropping those, it's gonna get interesting very quickly. Okay, it's the investigation, scene 4. So in my game, this I suppose marks the beginning of the trial. So scene 4. Okay, so to recap, Sabrina is thinking that Ethel thinks her trainers are werewolves. Sabrina is still kind of confused about why she can't hear the voices of the dead anymore. And I think Ethel is about to start her first trial. So during this scene, the sisters attempt to find the information materials necessary for them to accomplish the mission and or defeat the threat. This is a key setup in the development of the story and of the characters, as the success of the coven will depend on the outcome of the investigation. Leading questions. What items do you need to accomplish the mission and or defeat the threat? Where can they be found? Will the investigation be pursued by travelling to distant lands and mysterious places? Does it start on a spiritual level? Will you need to delve into the ancient forbidden knowledge? Or all these things together? What obstacles will the sisters encounter along the way? Okay, so we're going to get more, roadblocks and threats and danger in our way. Note, as the coven proceeds on its journey, it might encounter allies or adversaries, travel to exotic places or visit other planes of reality, find the right ingredients for a potion or a formula to summon a demon. The declinations of the investigation are truly endless, which is why I suggest that each witch contributes to the common mission and advance in their magical skills so as to fully understand the uses and limits of their power. So scene objectives, finding necessary items to accomplish the mission, or identifying the weaknesses of a threat, learning the full potential of the power. Prompts. The clues collected so far lead to a specific place, but the journey will be long and you need to be well prepared. What is the destination? What obstacles await you along the way and how will you deal with them? Okay, so that's quite interesting. It kind of leans into what I'm doing already because essentially, I suppose the specific place, if you want to think about it in more of a metaphorical sense, is they're there already, but the goal is to kind of win this competition and come out of it alive. A chance meeting has given you insight into how to defeat the threat. How you get ready for the face-off. What information have you gathered? You realise that your power is insufficient to deal with the threat. Who or what can assist you in your training and at what cost? Now, this is interesting because I do feel that I want Ethel to have an ally in the competition, maybe someone on the inside who's going to help her. But yeah, I'm not sure. You find out that a potion is necessary to accomplish the mission, but the ingredients are rare and very difficult to get. What risks will you face and what benefits does the elixir confer? A creature comes to your rescue and offers to guide you. Is it trustworthy or is it tricking you? What does it ask in return? You realise you have lost your bearings and are wandering about aimlessly as a threat looms. How can magic help you find your way? Where does it lead you? Okay, well, I'm going to clear these tarot cards from the last scene. So we're now on scene 4. Oh. And we are about to pull the Hierophant and the Magician. Okay, so we've got a 5 and a 1, excellent, something slightly out of order. So, Hierophant and Magician. I think this time I'm going to switch back to Ethel because we should really alternate between scenes. So yeah, let's look up the Hierophant in the tarot book and see what it says. Oh, what number is it? Oh, 5, so we're right at the beginning. The Hierophant. I am wisdom in all its forms, heed me and prosper. Also called the High Priest or Pope, the Hierophant is a wise teacher, priest or counsellor to whom we may turn in times of personal crises. Like the High Priestess, the Hierophant is seated between two pillars at the entrance of the temple. However, unlike the High Priestess, the Hierophant represents the outer trappings and traditions of religious practice. At this stage in the journey, the fool must find meaning and seek answers to questions about the purpose of his life. Interesting. When this card appears in the spread, it indicates we may be searching for meaning and need to approach a situation with a philosophical outlook. Okay, so that definitely weaves into Ethel sort of questioning her place in the competition and why she was, quote, chosen, and given like her bloodline, how this magic has suddenly appeared. Yeah, that fits in really well. And next I'm going to look up the Magician, just to see what the vibe is. Oh, so that's number 1. That's the very first one. Hierophant. Here we go, the Magician. I'm the master of my destiny and hold all the keys to success. The Magician stands next to a table upon which lie all the implements of his trade. These represent the 4 tarot suits and the 4 elements. Wand in hand, the Magician is about to use his powers to command his will. On his head, his hat is almost like the infinity symbol, explicitly shown in some decks. Do I have that? Yes, I do. Known as the cosmic lemniscate, which represents the eternal and immortal force of energy. At this first stage of his journey, the fool realises that he has all the resources he needs to gain mastery over the material world of opposites and duality. He has become the Magician, an authority figure who has the power to do good. Creativity and resourcefulness are needed to overcome obstacles. So maybe Ethel needs to look inward. Her power is there. She isn't at a disadvantage. So yeah, with Ethel, she comes from quite a regular background, which is why she was so confused when she got this invite. As normally a ceremony, it's been dressed up to be something quite prestigious, even though it's not really. It's pretty much a sacrificial event. But yeah, it's, you know, it's a grand estate. It's very exclusive. And yet it's normally, I suppose, the children of quite strong magical bloodlines that are invited to this. And she's kind of like, okay. Now she's questioning, you know, is there someone in my family that maybe, you know, have some distant relation to these more potent families? Or was her family maybe secretly disgraced and that note was erased from history? We don't know. But I'm going to look up the prompts as well in the back of the book just to kind of see what they say as well. So if we look up the Hierophant, which I think in this is the Pope. Yes, the Pope. Guide, spiritual power, faith, holiness, morality, blessing, mediator, cultist, spirit, king, sorcerer. Okay, that kind of fits in with the whole like internal spirit and things like that. Then we have the Magician, which is number 1, which is called the Juggler here. Creativity, deception, imagination, willpower, manipulation, potential. Magician, charmer, thief, vampire. Well, that's interesting. Vampires and werewolves. Okay, so I think Ethel is about to start her first trial. So we are, I suppose, another week later. I think she's going to start maybe in a maze. So have a nice little maze trial. As I stood at the beginning of the challenge, 2 huge, oh God, what's the name of a tree? Conifer trees? Are they big? Loomed over me. I had to get out of this maze alive, as God knows what will happen to me and Sabrina. Sybil has taught me to harness the energy my magic imbues, that's the right way of saying that, and strike down anything quickly with strength that gets in my way. This maze is filled with lethal creatures and, trying to say plants, lethal creatures and God knows what. The Leclercs have a penchant for suffering, it appears. This is literally just a game to them. What I wouldn't give to put them in this maze instead of me. They should be trapped with their monstrous creations instead. Sybil gave me a necklace before I went in. She couldn't tell me what it's for or who it's from. I need to work that out in a trial. The sirens, no, the trumpets have signalled it's my time to go in. I know nothing of those who went before or are going in after me. It's heating up, it's heating up. Okay, so she's got a necklace. I'm not sure how that works yet. I genuinely don't know how that works yet. That will be in scene 5. She recollects what is happening there. Okay, so now we're going from Sabrina's perspective. So Sabrina was saying in her last entry that Ethel's been spending more time with her trainer, Sybil. So I think Sabrina, this is a moment for her to maybe work behind the scenes and poke around the Leclerc estate for a bit. So it's on the same day, so I'm going to write from the same day. So she's going to say, Ethel's trial is today. I don't think I've ever been as nervous in my life. I need to get to the bottom of why there are no spirits here, despite the grounds having their own mausoleum. I know if I can just speak to the dead, they can help me help Ethel, and maybe we'll get out of this alive. Maybe whatever I find out will bring down whatever the Leclercs are hiding. Maybe it will drain them of power. The dead must hold their secrets, and someone doesn't want them talking. So at this point, I think Sabrina might cast a spell to see if she can get past these wards or whatever it is that's stopping her from communicating with the dead. So when she casts a spell, so at the sort of like a low level spell is a charm, so that means she might lose a few minutes of her life. The second level is a spell, so she loses a memory or ages rapidly. And a third level sort of a spell, let's just say that, is called an incantation. And this is something huge, like regenerating an entire city, where something would, you know, drain her entire life force to do. So it's very much a last-ditch attempt to stop something from happening, or to maybe like bring back from the dead thousands of people, something like that. So yeah, this is a very much a big deal. So I think for her, what she's doing now lies between 1 and 2. So a charm would be an example, would just be like getting a little flower to bloom or something like that. Where a spell, on the other hand, which is 1 up, would be potentially, I don't know, I'd say talking with the dead would fit in with that, because I wouldn't say that's something quite weak. And maybe at the higher end of that, maybe raising the dead. But an incantation, which would require her entire life force, I think would be like raising an entire army back from the dead, those sorts of things. Or a city. So yeah, I think I'm earing on memory or rapid aging. So I'm just going to have a look to see what else it says. So spell is a mid-level magic skill producing positive or frightening effects, including over time or distance, such as wilting a centuries-old tree, creating a pool of simmering pitch in front of your enemy, generating a protective barrier, or curing a disease. The cost, hours of witch's life or 1 memory. The sister will be affected by rapid aging or lose part of their memory. Ooh, what does she lose? Joe, I think she's going to age rapidly instead. So she's going to age by 10 years. And this may introduce some conflicts. People are going to notice she suddenly looks older. So she is going to give 10 years over of her life to commune with the dead. So she wanders over to a mausoleum and she just sits there and concentrates. She puts her hand on the ground in the earth just outside. Of course, this mausoleum is set within obviously a graveyard. So she's trying to get the energy from the cemetery in combination for whatever is in the mausoleum. And she's concentrating really hard, trying to break past this ward that's been put up to stop the voices from the other side talking to her. But she manages to put a little crack in it. Not a lot, but enough for someone to get through. And the voice says, what do they say? Do they reveal the next trial, or do they reveal how to, something, a family secret? The voice says, okay, to break the curse, to break the curse, should it be a scroll or... I'll say burn the trophy. Okay, so at the end of the ceremony, the witches and warlock are given a trophy, and it's a very old trophy, very ancient, carved out of an ancient tree, and it's been in the Leclerc family for centuries. And it's the first trophy, so these trials have been going on for centuries. The first trophy created for the event. Naturally, there are loads of wards around it. But given Sabrina can talk to the dead of the souls lost on the estate, maybe they're willing to help her. Now, Sabrina knows instantly when they say the trophy what it is, because they're made aware of the pomp and ceremony of these things. So she gets what she has to do, but she's like, how on earth do I get to it? And, you know, imagine it's protected. How am I able to burn it, you know? And that, I think, comes back into Ethel's elements. And I think they say only an elemental of such power can break through the walls. And maybe, we're going full circle now, and maybe that's why the Leclerc family have brought Ethel in, because they're kind of testing her power. And I know it seems a bit silly, like, oh, why bring her in close to where she has an opportunity to destroy the trophy? They never really anticipated that she'd have a necromancer friend. Maybe they just thought she'd die within the maze trial. And you know, that could be a thing, so that will be in Revelation, maybe. So I'm in the investigation. She's just about to enter the maze, but I cut it short there. And I think what happens in the maze is going to reveal what's at stake and how the Leclerc family are going to try and get to Ethel, where Sabrina, in the meantime, is working with the dead to concoct a scheme to bring down the family, to save Ethel, so that she didn't even have to win the competition anymore. She just wants to stop the tournament ever happening again. Okay, that's kind of cool. I feel as though we're getting somewhere now. Okay, so we're at Revelation, scene 5. So to recap, Sabrina has lost 10 years of life. She's aged. So she's now in her early 30s. So I'd say she doesn't look too different. Maybe a few more wrinkles here and there. A few grey hairs. Just sort of, you know, appeared overnight. Okay, Revelation, scene 5. In this scene, the coven wraps up the investigation and, thanks to collected artifacts, obtains resources or knowledge that allow it to face the threat and complete the mission. The revelation allows the group to take stock of their journey and elaborate a success strategy based on the potential of each sister. Leading questions. What information has the coven gathered? Are the members able to interpret it, or do they need an ally's help to work out its meaning? What elements, powers, potions, formulas do the sisters have at their disposal to accomplish the mission and or defeat the threat? Are these sufficient, or do they need further refinement? Now the sisters are nearing their objective. What allies are still standing on their side? What enemies or dangers will try to stop them? Note, the path of searching for knowledge, powers or useful objects for the coven to achieve its goals results in receiving the revelation. After comparing collected clues, finding a manuscript, overcoming an obstacle, a fortuitous discovery, or an exchange for helping an ally. Scene objectives. Summarising the investigation results, define the strategy to deal with the threat, and conclude the mission. Prompts. After reviewing the collected clues, you finally identified the enemy's weakness. What is it, and how should you prepare to deal with it? You have collected items or clues that you are unable to use, but you know someone who can help you exploit their potential. Who is it, and what do you hope to obtain? At what cost? You fall into a trap set by your enemies as you are going into a safe place where the acquired knowledge can finally be put into practice. How do you get out of this situation? What does it reveal about the threat? You have found and learned that the incantation needed to complete the mission. What ritual do you need to perform? What kind of magic is involved? To use the full potential of your power, you must perform a dangerous ritual that involves a sacrificial offering. Do you plan to stain your conscience? Would you rather give up the benefits? What are your alternatives? Your allies have been captured by the enemy. To free them, you'll have to gather up all your possessions and abandon the mission. How do you plan to act? What are the risks of stepping in to rescue him? Okay, so those are our prompts if we were rolling a d6. But I'm going to pull 2 more tarot cards. And we're going to begin this time, I think, with Sabrina, as we started with Ethel first. So here we have the World and the Lovers. So scene 5. So we have World and the Lovers are our 2 cards. Let's begin by looking up their meanings. So what is the World? That is 21. It's 25, 24, 23. Oh no, I've gone back too far now. The World. I complete the cycle that it may turn again and begin anew. The World, represented by a dancing woman, is the final card in one complete cycle. The creatures at each corner of this card signify the Christian tradition of the 4 missionaries: angel, eagle, lion and bull. These also represent the 4 elements and 4 suits of the tarot. The 4 has accomplished much and learned what he is capable of along the way. Challenges have been faced and battles fought and won. He is now ready to resume his position at the start of a new cycle. New challenges beckon and they can approach with confidence. All things will be possible for him in the fullness of time. Oh, this is interesting. As we're sort of coming to the end, I feel as though, yeah, the story is going to reach its natural sort of arc or conclusion. The World is almost like a reset of that. Okay, so basically they're kind of resetting the world by either winning the competition or burning the Leclerc family to the ground. Or let's just frame it a bit more friendly, their legacy to the ground. Okay, so next up we have the Lovers. So I'm just going to look that up in my tarot book. And what number's that? That is number 6. So kind of near the beginning. The full is, what's the Magician? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. I will take you to the place of choice where decisions must be made for good or ill. In the card of the Lovers, we find a man and a woman standing next to, and in some versions, embracing each other, with the man looking at the woman. The woman is looking up to the sky where Cupid is watching, and occasionally, such as in the Marseille deck here, there is another standing next to him. The card alludes to love, relationship, and the family, but the Lovers had also come to represent temptation and a need to make a choice. Ooh, interesting. So will our witches be tempted in some way? Will a bargain be made? At this stage of the journey, the Fool finds his match and decides to marry and unite the opposites within. The card suggests that union is possible and there is hope for a bright future ahead, if temptation can be avoided. Okay, so let's also have a look at the prompts we get in the book. So, runes. I always open this on runes. So Lovers here: union, joy, enthusiasm, temptation, choice, uncertainty. Characters: lovers, newlyweds, barred family. And the World was fulfillment, fame, birth, openness, obstacle, journey, grateful or troubled, mother, interesting, creature, ally. Okay. So, who did I open with before? I think it was Ethel, because she was at the beginning of the maze. This time we're going to open with Sabrina. So if I'm opening with Sabrina, we know from the last scene that she found out in order to bring down the Leclerc estate or empire, that the trophy needs to be burned. It's almost like this trophy is the heart of the power, or was perhaps maybe some sort of sacred object that was used when the Leclercs came to power. So Sabrina she's going to go... Does she go back to the grave, or does she do some more digging around the house? Well, I think, I'm glad we're exploring the Leclerc mansion and estate. So she's going to maybe check out a bunch of rooms, see if she can find anything. Because, obviously she knows that this trophy will be very highly secure, and it's only kind of revealed at ceremony when they thank the mother for the sacrifices these witches and warlocks have made in these trials. Will she have an accomplice that helps her? Maybe she bumps into Sybil. Maybe that could be a thing. And maybe she's grappling as well with the potential. She knows she's aged 10 years. So I need to put that down because that will be a significant point. So she's 10 years. So yeah, aged 10 years. And maybe that could help her walk around the house because no one really recognises her. Yeah, I think that could be a good thing. Okay. Will she get Sybil to help her? Perhaps Sybil... I don't think Sybil knows the true extent of the Leclerc family, but she knows they're very powerful and knows not to cross them. Perhaps she's having a change of heart now after sending so many witches and warlocks pretty much to their death in this contest. She's prepared to help Sabrina. So while Ethel, I think, is in the maze, Sybil is going to maybe get to know Sabrina a bit more. And yeah, Sabrina, because obviously Sybil was a coach and she coached Ethel in terms of elemental magic. But let's just say maybe Sybil also has a background in necromancy. So she's been coaching Sabrina. And this is when maybe Sabrina reveals that she managed to speak with the dead on the estate, and Sybil's like, how did you manage that? That is such a... Well, she kind of knows how she manages it because she knows she looks different. She's aged 10 years. So she recognises that she was able to cast a spell at that level, or that with that amount of power that she knows Sabrina has got, say, secret talent, or is more in tune with her powers and what she originally thought. So I'm going to start with, we began our search on the first floor. Of course, even if we found the trophy, we could never destroy it. That would be up to Ethel, and Sybil thinks she is more than up to the job. Sybil recognised who Ethel was right away. She was, or is, a long lost line of the Leclerc family. In fact, it was Ethel's great uncle, the usurper, who ousted her great grandfather from power. The Leclercs fought his bloodline was long gone, but he had an affair. And Ethel's great grandmother was his daughter. Sybil managed to use her contacts or sympathetic or people of power sympathetic to the cause, and managed to reunite Ethel with a lost heirloom, a necklace that can harness and project her magic. It can focus it so it has more direction, and power to... I might have to refill my pen. Okay, pen is refilled, we're good to go. So where did I get up to? It can focus it so it has more direction and power to strike. So I think we're building up if she wants to cast a beam of fire as trophy. Ethel doesn't know who she is yet, nor have we spoken since I cast that spell to speak with the dead. Okay, so I'm thinking we are pretty much only one day later from scene 4. So as Ethel was preparing to go into the maze, or maybe around the same time, maybe that evening, Sabrina took it upon herself to go into the cemetery because she's really worried about Ethel. I think that was right, actually, because I think, yeah, she says Ethel's tried today. I don't feel Ethel's nervous. So yeah, she did it out of desperation. I think I was prompted to actually do something about this. Of course, the reality of Ethel dying became so much, I suppose, real. And yeah, and I think Ethel, I mean, this maze challenge could go over several days, perhaps. Yeah, let's just say it goes over several days. Pretty much you'll let out when you're let out. So let's just say Ethel is still in the maze now. And actually, that might be better for the story because it means I might be able to do some cool stuff with the trial. Yeah, Ethel's still in the maze, and Sybil and Sabrina are working together to bring down the Leclerc family. And I think Sybil has been, let's say, a bit of a sleeper agent for many years. She's part of a group that knows more about the lore behind this family and how they got to power, even after many generations that has been lost. And maybe we can tie that into this entity, the Evil Mother. And perhaps when the true Leclercs, or maybe it was another name, were ousted, that was when we lost the Good Mother. And like an evil force came to be. And yeah, the way of holding on to their power is they do these sacrifices, and in return they get wealth, they get, I suppose, control. And yeah, maybe there's been this underground movement to try and topple that and set things back to how they were. Remove the subjugation, let's say, of everyone else, and, you know, to stop the favouritism of Leclerc associates, and, you know, I suppose the nepotism that comes with, you know, one family just being in charge or running the scene in secret. So where are we up to? Okay, so they're going around the house looking for the trophy, but anything else that may be able to help them. Sybil doesn't draw too much attention because she's staff, she's a coach. No one knows who Sabrina is anymore because she's aged 10 years. Not that she looks, like a completely different person. Yeah, well, I suppose she does in a way. She's like, yes, she's a 10 years older version of herself. She could be an older sister, could be, an older cousin. So, yes, Sabrina is maybe treated with a bit more suspicion, but people are like, I think I recognise you, but I'm not sure from where. Okay, so what could I do as Sabrina? I kind of want her to lose a memory at this point. Okay, so as Sabrina is wandering around the house with Sybil, maybe they find a room. And in this room, this room has been untouched. And yeah, there's dust in it. It's almost like someone passed away and it's been left in almost like, as a reminder of them, like I suppose like an effigy of sorts. And Sybil encourages Sabrina to maybe pick one of the objects up and see if it can tell her anything. Sybil wasn't sure who lived in this room, but clearly it was someone who was important. Who would it belong to? I'm thinking we're going back many generations now. Will it have someone to do with... Maybe it's got something to do with... Maybe it's one of the daughters of the great grandfather. So a distant cousin of... or distant aunt? No, a distant cousin of Ethel. Yeah, okay. So as Sabrina is wandering around this room, she picks up, say, a mirror from the vanity. So it's a girl's bedroom, and there's a four-poster bed. There's a moth-eaten, I suppose, bucket chair next to a little, what would you call it? Not a coffee table, but I suppose like a bedside table, but it's not next to the bed. It's in front of a window, and it's like this moth-eaten lace drape over it. And an empty vase. You imagine there were flowers in there, but they've probably dried and rotted and withered away in the air. The floor, like the rug, is, weather-worn. It's fraying. It's been bleached by the sun. The curtains are covered in dust. It's almost like you don't want to draw them because, a spider might fall out of them. I mean, the floor isn't that creaky. The house is held up quite well. It's not like the house has fallen apart in this room. It's just that the furnishings are very ancient, let's say. Clearly no one's been in here for years. There's a horrible stale smell about it. And as Sabrina goes up to this vanity, it's thick with dust. The mirror is thick with dust. And she sees there's there's a little perfume ball. It's got like a modicum of brown liquid at the bottom. So it's almost like the water has evaporated from the perfume and all that's left are, say, maybe the ingredients, the active ingredients that gave it its scent, sort of sludge. And she sees like a little powder puff thing that's kind of all like congealed. And there are more creams that have clearly dried up. So yeah, this was maybe a teenager's room, and sort of a young lady. And she picks up the mirror and tries to tune in. And Sybil sort of implores her, she coaches her to use her power. And Sabrina is going to forget a memory to do this. So they think this room's important. There's a reason it's been left. So it's important to the Clares. Or maybe they can't touch it. So what memory is she going to lose? Joe, I'm going to choose a very important memory. I'm going to get her. She's going to forget the day Ethel got her invite. I mean, I know she's been here for a while. So obviously she has other memories of the estate and why they're here. But she's going to, forget the invite on the birthday. So she's kind of forgot the whole process of how they were initiated. So how Ethel felt and things like that. And that's the memory she's losing. So she's forgetting the day of Ethel's 21st birthday. So not super plot critical, because it's not like she's forgetting why they're at the ceremony. She knows this from other memories. But that particular memory, she feels it just kind of evaporates. She's not sure what memory she has lost, but she knows it's significant. And she kind of glazes over and she looks at Sybil and she's like, something's happened, I'm not sure. And then suddenly, with a jolt, she awakens again and she touches the mirror. She sees a young girl, about 16, standing in front of her. And this young girl tells her that she is a witch, just like Ethel. But she also has another power. So let me just see what origins we have here. I'm going to say she's a mixture of elemental and summoning. She tells her that her evil uncle what's the word I'm looking for, ousted the family. There was a massacre. She was the last one left. She managed to seal off her room. Basically, she put like a portal by the front door, by the door rather. So when someone tried to enter, they'd just kind of walk through it again and walk back out the door. And do you know what? I might change this. I think this is going to be Ethel's great-great-granddaughter. Or is it? Would they ever go hunting for her again? No, they would, because if it was he just sent his cronies after him, they could pretty much kill someone else. I'll just say no. The body was destroyed. We have no evidence. So I'm going to say we're going to forget the plot about the illegitimate child, if I wrote that down. And she escapes. So because she's only 15, her power, she can't fully make that door like a permanent portal or leave it there for a long time. So what she does is she puts a charm on the door, and then she imbues like the room with her energy. So if someone like Sabrina were to go in, and she puts like a charm on it to make sure that their intentions have to be good, it's not someone that's trying to track her, she leaves like a record, because when she escapes, that's it, she can never use her family name, and because she's young enough, when she grows into adult, no one will probably recognise her. I mean, yeah, she may look like her mum and dad, but, so could anyone. It's just a quirk of genetics that people have lookalikes all the time. So she escapes, and because she's elemental, she's able to pretty much jump out the window, and sort of a gust of wind will just carry her down. She runs away. So she's a sole survivor of that line. And eventually, when the portal drops on the door and her uncle's cronies come in, she's not there, and they're panicking. So what they do is they find another body from like a morgue, and they just say it's her. Obviously, they say disguise the corpse a bit, put it through a bit of damage. And yes, to the point she's not recognisable, but you can tell it's a young female. So she escapes, and that's what she leaves in that room. So obviously Sabrina tells Sybil this. And they work out Ethel is almost an heir. She's the true heir to, I suppose, well, it's not even this family. She's her own line of this family, as it were. true heir to the Leclerc estate. And there's one more thing the girl says to Sabrina, just as like her image sort of begins to flicker and vanish, you know, into the ether. She mentions her uncle made a pact. A cruel entity that lives in the woods. The trophy was carved from its tree. So it's like an evil tree in the woods. And her uncle sealed the pact with killing her family. Obviously that helped him as well, because there's no one to rally against. And drinking from the trophy. Okay, so we've got a bit of a supernatural conspiracy going on. So we realise Ethel is the true heir. Sybil is part of a group that knows about the Leclerc history. So let's just say when the new line came to power, it was all very hush-hush. You know, maybe there were certain charms used on people. Also, it was explained away as like perhaps a tragic accident. So yeah, when the uncle came in, it was like, well, there's no heirs left. The children had died as well, you know. Maybe they lied and said there was a house fire. Because that's what we could say. Perhaps, maybe in a bid for the cronies to cover up their actions, they set maybe a part of the house on fire, part of the wing. And they said Sabrina was in there, and then the uncle used that as a reason to say, oh, you know, it's a tragic accident. They died, they perished in this wing of the house where there was a fire that took very quickly. So yeah, I think that's quite good. We'll say that. And that could be easily explained. And obviously no more heirs left, so he had to take power. Okay, and now he's got this evil entity. He can kind of, you know, do whatever he wants. And yeah, the Leclerc family became more and more, I suppose, esteemed. More and more doors were open to them. So yeah, I think we've got a solid little backstory now. Okay, so how would Sybil, because I made a lot of notes here, how would Sabrina sum this up? So I'll talk about them beginning their search, the illegitimate daughter we changed. Maybe that was misinformation that was fed to the group as a way of, we know, maybe they're partially infiltrated. The Leclercs were like, okay, feed them a bit of false information about his illegitimate child without, you know, telling them the full story, because they didn't really know there was a malicious entity involved. They thought it was just a typical usurping of the uncle. But now this makes more sense. Okay, so Sybil managed to use contacts. Yes, okay, so I'm going to say from the diary, I'm going to go back a little bit. The room was dusty and abandoned. It looks like a young girl's bedroom. Nothing has changed in what looks like a few hundred years. Let's just say, so if it was great, yeah, I'll say that's about 3 generations, a century perhaps. So yeah, 200 years. 200, maybe 3. I'll say 2 for now. 200 years. There is a beautiful, what's it called? Handheld mirror? There is a beautiful mirror on a vanity desk. It seems untouched by the years. It still sparkles, like it's calling to me. I wonder if it can tell me about its owner. And that's when she hears about the law this young girl tells her. She doesn't know her name. She never gave her name. It was like the girl kind of almost set it to record. You know, she put this message in this mirror and it kind of played. And yeah, and they put two and two together and realised this probably is Ethel's line. It goes back to this girl. They're talking to her great-great-grandmother. Yeah, so after that, Sybil thinks they could even have a go at destroying the tree. Don't know where this tree is though, or the trophy. They've got two options now. The trophy is probably more heavily guarded. The tree probably isn't, because it kind of blends in and no one knows about it as far as they're aware. So what did the dead say to burn the trophy? Okay, so burn the trophy or burn the tree by the sounds of it. And maybe this tree is in the maze. Oh, it's heating up now. Is the tree in the centre of the maze? That would be quite, you know, I wouldn't be surprised by that, because if this entity loves, you know, it wants to sacrifice, it wants the pain and suffering, maybe that's where it all happens. Maybe that's the symbolic thing, you know, someone from the Clares is waiting in the middle of this maze. And it's like the victor is never the true victor, you know, they're the ones that are sacrificed because they're the most powerful. Oh, that's quite good. Okay, so Ethel now. Okay, so I think, yeah, we've done quite well with these cards. I think the lovers, you know, we brought Ethel back into that. She's the aid for that. The world, we're resetting things. We're understanding more how we can destroy this threat. And, you know, and now, yeah, she's got the aid with the necklace that Sybil gave to her, where she can concentrate her powers. So, yeah, Ethel, but I feel as though Ethel needs to expend a power at some point here. And I'm not sure where. Let's have a look at scene 6 quickly. What are we supposed to do that? So that's a threat. Yes, so scene 6 is when we're gonna go head to head with this entity. Okay, Ethel. I've been running around this maze for what seems like hours, and I'm getting nowhere. It's getting dark soon, and I will need to find shelter or a tree with enough space to sleep under. Okay. Because this is a huge maze. It's not like, you know, it's very tight, just one person, one in, you know, it's quite narrow. It is massive. It's super wide. And yeah, it's almost like, I think the maze, the paths to the maze, I think they're about 20 feet wide. So you can get numerous people, crowds moving through them. And she's trying to find, yeah, a tree that's kind of, you know, off the ground enough where she can kind of hunker down and get in and take shelter. And yeah, she doesn't want anyone to find her there. You know, that's part of the thing. She doesn't want the other witches and warlocks to see her, because she doesn't know what they'll do to her. If they find her, they might try and kill her. They might, you know, because she knows people die in these trials. And yeah, it's almost kind of like a fight to the death. She, in her mind, you know, she has seen first, second and third place in these trials. It's not just like there's one winner. But, you know, there are 4 or 5 of them. So what happens to, you know, the 4th one? Does it get a little bit out of hand? So she's more worried about, I suppose, maybe someone trying to subdue her and it going wrong, and she accidentally dies, rather than being out and out like murdered. So yeah, she's sitting under this tree and she goes to sleep because it's getting dark, but she's awakened by this sound, and it is a sound of like vines creeping along this path. And they begin to wrap around her feet, wrap around her hands, and they're pulling her into the ground. So she's panicking. And because she's an elemental, she knows, okay, thank God this is something I could, fight my way out of. So what she's going to do is she's going to concentrate, and she is going to lose a memory because she's going to cast a spell. And the memory she's going to lose is of, I think, the memory of Sybil being a werewolf. I forgot to cross these out, actually. So now she's forgotten that Sybil is likely a werewolf. Will that come in handy later? I don't know. And maybe that's, how Sybil, that could be actually quite a good tie-in, actually. Maybe werewolves in this branch of the Eclairs, they don't get along. The Leclercs are constantly encroaching on their territories with expanding their estate and things like that. So maybe, there is this underground network of werewolves who want to overthrow them and bring back the old bloodline that is, I suppose, more compassionate and kind and not evil. Okay, I guess it's coming together quite nicely. These threads are beginning to tie off, because admittedly with this game I'm like, would I be able to tie off everything? Will some things be left, So yeah, I'm quite glad actually that's come back round full circle. Okay, yes, so Sybil is part of a secret clandestine werewolf group, and yeah, she their goal is to overthrow the Leclercs and either have someone else come to power or reinstate Ethel's bloodline. Okay, so when she does that, she's going to cast, I suppose, a fire. And, well, no, she's not going to cast anything. She's going to set herself on fire. So, yeah, she's just going to turn into a torch, essentially. And these vines melt away. There's some smoke. But she casts the wind and it gradually sort of dissipates. She blows it out quick enough where it doesn't kind of come together in one big sort of plume to reveal where she is. She kind of spreads it out lowly along the ground. Okay, so, and because of that, she's now wide awake again. And after she casts this fiery, she turns herself into a human torch. Where she is, so after she's burned the vines away, she notices there is a small hole on the ground, and it's almost like it's a little tunnel. So because she's been going around in circles, she hasn't got anywhere in this main. She's like, do you know what, I'm going to go through that. I personally wouldn't, but that's what she's going to do. So she's going to hunker down and crawl through. I mean, part of her thinks it could be good shelter for the night, but she's like, maybe this leads somewhere. And as she's crawling through, she can kind of hear things going on above her. I mean, this isn't for the faint of heart or the claustrophobic, and maybe my last video was about the TTRPGs I played, and one of them was The Underneath, where it's about cave exploration and spelunking, I think it's called. So maybe I've got a bit of that in my brain. So she's kind of, commando crawling through this really tiny tunnel. It's only big enough to just fit her body in. Like it was almost made for her. And as she's crawling ahead, she can hear, the footsteps of people above her, potentially other witches and warlocks, and other sounds as well, just really ominous, like someone crying and things like that. And as she's crawling, she's kind of now going up a slant. So as she went down into the hole, she felt herself definitely descending and leveled out, and she feels she's on the way back up again. So as she's crawling, she sees this, I suppose, roots and mulch kind of above her. So she pops out and she realises she's in the centre of the maze. And where she's come out of the roots of this massive, massive tree. And standing next to the tree is a man. And next to him is a trophy. And he gives her like a wry smile, and he's like, congratulations, Ethel, you've won. And she's like, what? Like, she's a bit like, I've kind of only been in here for like, I don't know, say about 18 hours, you know, because obviously this trial was meant to be, I was supposed to say it's more than a 3-day thing. And she hasn't really encountered anything at all. Nothing's tried to kill her apart from those vines, but maybe they were signaling to her that there was this tunnel here. And he looks at a necklace around her neck and he instantly recognises it. And obviously he knows, the Leclercs know that maybe there is some bloodline of the great-great-grandfather, perhaps through illegitimate children. They don't think any children escaped, but they do maybe think potentially the grandfather could have had a secret child with an affair. Because let's just say the affair was true about her great-great-granddad, and they always were worried that there would be another child, and they couldn't track anyone down. But now they see her, the necklace, and a few things have been going on there, you know, and given that they knew about Ethel's elemental powers, it was kind of on their radar, and they knew that family tended to have quite powerful elementals within it. That's why she was a person of interest. And now I think the penny is dropped, and he really does. You know, their suspicions have been what's the word, confirmed. And yeah, I think he's going to be our big bad, but I'm going to leave it there for now. He's going to, I think, potentially try and kill Ethel, and it's up to her. I imagine, you know, we're next to the tree and the trophy's in the same place. Now, I didn't anticipate putting those two together. But that's just how it's happened. I actually thought, oh, maybe, yeah, the trophy's at the end, the big ceremony. Then when I was writing it, I thought, oh no, I'm going to have him waiting there with the trophy and the tree. And I'm like, oh my God, I've just put two of them together now. That is not going to, you know, what's what I've got to change maybe how I approach this now. It's going to lead me down a different route. But I quite like this. This is what I like about journaling games. You have kind of like, you think you're on a track for a story and you're anticipating the next point. And then something happens, and then you have a spark of inspiration. You write something completely different or an idea you didn't have before. But now I'm like, actually, that could be quite cool because maybe Sabrina and Sybil could join her to help her in the end. So yeah, not all, all isn't lost. I think this is quite a good little, we're setting this up now to be quite a good little ending. Because I thought how it might pan out is that a lot of stuff kicks off at the ceremony, and Ethel comes out of the maze. But I think subconsciously I wanted to make the maze a bigger deal, because at the minute it's just, oh yeah, she goes in and comes out and wins. There's nothing, exciting. This is, where her trial takes place. Maybe we should have a bit more meat in there. And I think, yeah, this is the meat. This is where the big bad is, not just outside in the, in the courtyard of the mansion where the ceremony is. So yeah, I quite like that. So I didn't really journal that. It's more her experience. But yeah, okay, so we're on to scene 6 now. I've got brand new tarot cards to pull. We've got Big Threat now. We've got King Leclerc, the head of the house, presenting the award. And we have Sybil and Sabrina hot on his tail. And yeah, I think they're going to try and make their way to the maze. But we'll see what tarot cards we pull and what we can infer from that. So scene 6, where we are going to take on the big threat of this story. So I'm going to draw 2 new tarot cards. And let's just see what these bring to Sabrina and Ethel. Ooh, so we have Judgment and the Sun. And I think Ethel is going to start this scene. And it's Judgment and Sun. So where we left off, Ethel is in the maze. She's burrowed her way through to the central point. And yeah, she thinks she's the first person there. And it would appear that way. It would appear that she has won, but you never know with the Leclercs. Maybe they just got her where they wanted her. So she's about to take on King Leclerc, or I call him, or what name should we give him? Should we call him George Leclerc? We don't know much about him. Is he a magic user or not? We don't know. So let's have a look at see what Judgment has in store for us. So this is, I think it looks like 20. This is right towards the end. Here we go. I'm the one who judges the worth of those who come before me. The judgment card shows an angel, possibly Gabriel, surrounding a trumpet above figures rising from their graves. It echoes a day of judgment referred to in the Bible, when Christ and his angels will return to earth and even the dead will be judged on their deeds. This card can be understood to bring us the reward in life that we deserve. The fool is forced to look at where he has come from, how he has behaved, and the choices he has made. It marks a point in which we must reevaluate our lives. We may need to learn hard lessons and be held responsible for past actions. We're advised to come to a resolution and move on with a clean slate. The card could also refer to judgments in law. Now that is very interesting because who is being judged here? Is it George Leclerc? Is it Ethel? Are the rights, or the wrongs rather, of the Leclerc family about to be righted? We don't know. So now I'm going to go through scene 6 just to get an idea of what I need to do. So scene 6, the coven will have to call on the powers and resources of threat. Scene 6. The coven will have to call on all the powers and resources obtained to face a threat. In this critical moment, the sisters will have to make difficult choices and may even include supreme sacrifice. The outcome of the confrontation will determine the end of the adventure and the success or failure of the mission. So yeah, I feel as though I've kind of timed this right actually, because I wasn't sure whether to have my big standoff in scene 5, but I'm glad I held out until scene 6. Leading questions. How does a threat manifest itself? Is it willing to negotiate with the coven, or does it intend to unleash all its power against it? How does a threat react to the confrontation? Is it caught off guard, or is it well prepared for the battle? Is it able to anticipate your next move? What is the attitude of the allies on both sides? Will they readily face the enemy, or will they move away as their life is threatened? Note, the threat does not have to be a monster, a disease, or an evil character. The reasons underlying its actions might emerge at the moment of confrontation. Some examples of antagonists can be dealt with without a direct confrontation, including groups of creatures who are defending their territory or an entity unaware of doing harm. What matters is that you create an entity that poses a real challenge to the group, or one that can adapt to the incantations casted by the coven, or skillfully negotiate an armistice. Okay, so I think my George Leclerc falls into that very traditional sense of the enemy or threat. But I think here as well it's worth noting, in terms of internal conflict, the threat could be maybe the person overcoming their fatal flaw. So, for example, this could be positioned as a choice a person has to make, Do they leave their friends behind to retrieve the gold from the dragon hoard, or do they instead leave the gold behind and help their friends escape, that sort of thing, So it's like this, in that instance, the person's fatal flaw may be greed, and, maybe to overcome that, they have to show they're willing to sacrifice riches in order to save those around them, or those that mean, something dear to them. So, scene objectives: defeat the threat or surrender, conclude the mission or fail it. Prompts. The threat proposes a deal. Should you withdraw from the mission, you will have your life saved and receive a valuable good. What is your decision? Will you trust it? The threat launches a surprise attack against you. To survive, you will have to cast an incantation or sacrifice a valuable resource. What will you do? What cost will you have to incur? The threat has anticipated your moves and is waiting for confrontation. How do you intend to deal with it? Are you able to deploy a different strategy? As you find yourself in dire straits, an ally is willing to offer their help at a very high price. What does he propose? Do you intend to accept their offer? You realise that the threat's allies are hesitant to risk their lives. How can you convince them to retreat? How will your enemy react? Backed into a corner, the threat takes an ally hostage and shows his readiness to kill him if you do not retreat. How will you act? Is a sacrifice worth winning the battle? So, a lot to think about. Now, obviously our judgment card has revealed to us that this is where the true reset begins. Rights are about to be wronged. But what does the sun have to say about this? So, sun is, I think that is 19. I'm really bad at reading Roman numerals today. Star, moon, sun, here we go. I am light and warmth and all good things to all people. The sun shone shining on twin boys is symbolic of life in full bloom. The fool has passed through his dark night and the way ahead is clear again. He knows where he is going and what he wants to achieve, and he meets with success in all his endeavours, indicating energy, joy, optimism and worldly success. This card suggests that it's the perfect moment to embrace opportunities and live life to the full. When this card appears in a spread, it promises good health, happiness, and perhaps even the birth of a baby. I don't think any babies will be being born yet, but maybe this symbolises Ethel's maybe hopefully victory and the overthrowing of the Leclercs. So we'll see. I'm also just going to look up the prompts in Last Sabbath as well, just to get an idea of what they say. Okay. So the sun here. Success, happiness, light, help, glory, support, solidarity. Characters, ally, druid, sorcerer, wise man. And judgment is desire, resurrection, announcement, message, rebirth, faith. Characters, spirit, familiar, ghost, mother, threat. Oh, that's interesting, because I think some of the cards we pulled last session, or a moment ago, should I say, there was something to do with like the Dark Mother or evil, or no, Vengeful Mother. I think that was it, the Vengeful Mother. So yeah, this could be perhaps the Good Mother coming back into a fold, let's say. Okay, that's kind of cool. So what is Ethel to do? So how should I start this? I clamber my way out of the tunnel. It's still night, but the moon is full, and it's red. Is this a blood moon? At first, I think I'm alone, but there is a man standing next to the tree I've just crawled out from beneath. He's leaning against I think it was plinth, and a wooden trophy sits atop it. The necklace around, no, not around the neck, it's around the neck. The necklace, no, my necklace is thrumming. I have no idea why Sybil gave it to me other than for luck. The man gestures to the trophy, saying, I've won. But something feels off. There's no fanfare. No congratulations. No audience. And I haven't seen a soul since I've entered. But maybe that was for the best. I hold back and don't say a word. My hand touches the necklace and I form a fist around it in anxiety. The man gestures again. He says, don't be scared. This trophy is a portal. It will take you out of the maze into the ceremony. You've won, he says again. But I just stand there. At this point, the vines of the tree roots wrap around my ankles. The man laughs. You had to make this difficult, didn't you? Then, before I know it, Sybil and Sabrina appear before me. Sybil hunkers down in pain. She cries out, "Why, oh why?" and looks up at the blood moon. Her spine ripples and her face contorts. Her claws burst from her fingertips. She's a werewolf. Sabrina steps back and stumbles. She crawls over to me. The man looks shocked, but is bizarrely still composed. With a flick of his hand, Sybil's neck snaps. Sabrina cries out, burn it all. He'll kill us both." Okay, what's Ethel gonna do next? What can she give up? So, Ethel is going to try, she is going to muster an incantation. I need to reread, like, does she lose all her memories, or is it just death with an incantation? Does she have to consume all her life force? Let's see. Here we go. Spell incantation. A magic skill that reveals the full potential of the witch or coven and draws on all their energy. The unrestrained force of both creative and destructive nature can lead to unpredictable consequences and comes at a deadly cost. By calling upon their power, a witch can regenerate an entire burnt down forest, exorcise an ancient evil haunting a village. I think Leclerc's probably ancient evil, or even enable a fellow sister to travel through time. Depletion of the entire life source and all the memories the character bring into their death. Ooh, if you're playing in a team, we recommend using divination tools to define the outcome and consequences of an incantation. Ooh, shall I pull another tarot card? Let's see what it says. Justice. Okay, so she's gonna pretty much sacrifice herself to defeat this man. Justice. So that is 11 by the looks of it. I am the balance that comes with fair reckoning. Like the high priestess and hierophant, justice is seated between the two pillars, suggesting a religious connection. Justice is one of the universal principles on which society is built. The figure in the card holds a sword and points it upwards, indicating that justice will be upheld. The sword of justice is famously double-edged. However, a balance must be found between the two opposing sides for there to be a fair outcome. This is represented by the scales held in the other hand, following the Wheel of Fortune card. Justice reminds us that we are accountable for our actions and urges us to be honest and fair. This card indicates that justice will eventually prevail. Okay. So I think what happens is, I'm just going to look this up in the back of the book as well. See what the hints were for justice here. Balance, focus, perfection, responsibility, trial, character, severe, mother, judge, arbiter, divine entity. Okay. Now, because of Ethel's bloodline that she's unaware of, and the fact that Sabrina is her best friend, borderline sister, she's not going to die when she does this, but she wipes all her memories. So Ethel forgets who she is. She loses all her autobiographical memories. So it doesn't mean to say, she can no longer talk, walk, or anything like that. It's just anything about herself she has no knowledge of. She doesn't even know her own name anymore. And as she does this, she just erupts into a fireball. For a brief second, we see a flicker of fear in George Leclerc's face. And the tree burns. He's incinerated. Sabrina is at the moment beside Ethel, so she's kind of cowering beside her, so she's untouched. It's almost like a protective area around them. And the trophy incinerates. And it's almost as if time stops. And then what Ethel sees is like this little, what could I use? Let's pull another tarot card. I'm just doing this purely for, the Hanged Man. Okay, she sees another gentleman come out from a tree. And the tree is on fire at this point, and this guy, he's dressed very finely, in a suit, a bit like George Leclerc actually, but his eyes are just black. And he walks up to Ethel and he takes her hand and he says, I can give you back your life if you make a bargain with me. And Ethel looks around and sees, obviously, the dead body of Sybil and Sabrina cowering. But everything's kind of stopped. It's in slow motion. It's just her talking to this man. And as she's looking at him, she hears the voice of a young girl that whispers into her ear, don't trust him. Let him die. He'll go away if you let him. Ethel just looks up at him and shakes her head. She doesn't even say anything. And he says, fair enough. And he just dissipates into ash and floats away among, you know, the smoke and the fire. And as the fire is catching more and more and this maze is burning, she grabs Sabrina and pulls her from the maze. Now, at this point, she doesn't know who Sabrina is anymore, but she knows she's a friend. Sabrina is trying to help lead the way. They're both in shock, and as they sort of, in a way, just force themselves, barrel their way through this maze. And it feels like the maze has lost a bit of its energy now. It's almost mundane. It's inert. It's no longer magical. So literally just snapping through these hedges, these trees, just trying to get a way through. And eventually it takes a good while, about 45 minutes, they're out. And as they emerge from the maze, they see this house just in ruins. There's nothing left. And there's just loads of empty, like, piles of clothing. Just people have disappeared. There's a few very, like, confused, what's the word, help workers, catering people there. They're like, where's everyone gone? There's a woman screaming and crying. And Ethel realises something huge has happened. And Sabrina just says, I can hear them now. And that's it. The curse of the Leclerc estate has broken. So I'm hoping I've tied up all the loose ends. Now, I do have a scene 7, which is the epilogue. So I'm just going to give that a read just to see what this does. So yeah, it's still a scene in its own right, but I feel it's like a rounding off of details. So the coven has faced the threat and has come to the end of its journey. Will the sisters receive the reward or they sink into the mire of defeat? In this scene, each witch, including those deceased, will describe their epilogue in a new record. Note, coming out on top is not only the way to make your story engaging. Sometimes a glimmer of hope seen in your self-sacrifice is a good alternative to a happily ever after ending. Letting the villain win is another way of introducing rare and a refreshing experience in the RPG world. Conclude the adventure, receive the promised reward, or narrate the consequences of defeat. Death. A witch or warlock's death is part of their life cycle and does not necessarily imply the end of the game for the individual player or the coven. In the event of death following a battle, an illness, or the use of one's power, a witch can turn to a different entity based on the memories in her possessions and still influence the course of the story. Familiar, good. The characters preserve most of their memories, has a positive bond with the coven, and actively participates in the mission. The character is now reincarnated into a talking animal with no powers. Think of a cat, spider, toad, owl, mouse, or snake, which can be helpful to its companions or sacrificed to cast a spell. In the case the familiar is sacrificed, its essence will be gone forever. Spirits. The character has preserved few memories and the self-sacrifice has been traumatic that their essence is now trapped in an intermediate plane of reality, wandering through the unknown world. Their spirit can intervene in the scene only after divination and acting on the basis of the interpretation of the signs. The sisters may attempt to summon it by casting a spell, but it will not always act in their favour. Ghost. The witch has used up all the memories and turned into a restless presence, trapped in an endless cycle of anger and pain, in which it is forced to relieve the trauma of its own death. Her presence will haunt the coven or a particular area and make it dangerous. It will never act in your favour, but the sisters may attempt to give her peace by casting an incantation. Ooh. Okay. So, the only person who died here was... I need to do Sabrina's actually point of view before I move on. Okay, yeah, I'm going to do Sabrina because I think it might be good to lead up to how they got into the maze. So, I might add on a little bit here when they're in the house. So when Sabrina finishes talking to the young girl that she believes to be Ethel's great grandmother, the girl, because she could do summoning, she creates an additional portal. And but it was something that was never found or paid attention to, because when she charmed the room, she made it so that only people who were allies of her family could maybe see everything that was in there. And when Sabrina opened, say, the top drawer, so the hand mirror was on the vanity, but below it was a drawer, and she opens it, and there's like a little box, and there's a little ring in it, and she opens it and touches the ring. Her and Sybil are both transported into the maze, and that's how they got there so quickly. Was she looking out for them? Was it always geared to be that way? We don't know. Did the ring just know where to take them? And yes, so the trophy was also a portal. It would never have taken Ethel back to ceremony. It basically would have consumed her and kind of sent her to a very bad place where this devil or pact would basically take her soul. So as Sabrina and Sybil are transported into the maze, Sabrina instantly notices a change in Sybil. As I look at Sybil, we're both in shock. The red moonlight shines upon us, and a wave of panic washes over Sybil's face. It only takes a few moments for her to transform. I swear I can see the man grinning as this is happening. Sybil must be a werewolf. But this isn't a real full moon. But it has the same effect nevertheless. A transformation is brutal and painful. But before she even gets the chance to fully become a wolf, her neck is snapped. I glance and see the man making a gesture with his hands. He did this. He has to be a Leclerc. I turn in shock towards Ethel. I must get her to burn this maze to the ground. The trophy is in sight, and this must be the tree the girl spoke about. I drop and crawl to Ethel, but before I get the chance to speak with her, she erupts into an almighty fireball, consuming everything around her but me. I even saw a flicker of fear on his face just before he burned. After the flames went out, the energy of the maze stopped, and for the first time since being here, I heard the dead talk. They are finally free. Oh, so that's Sabrina's take. I'm just going to go back to the epilogue again. So in a way, I think I've kind of done that. I've concluded the adventure. What shall I make of Sybil, though? I think she hears Sybil. This is Sabrina. Finally free. I think I can hear Sybil breathing a sigh of relief. Thank goodness it's over. Now at this point, Ethel is completely memoryless. So I'm not sure if Sybil should maybe give Sabrina some insight into that. So she says, thank goodness it's over. Please look after her. Tell her to never take that necklace off. Take her back to the room. The room is no longer there. The mansion is in ruins. It's collapsed in on itself. So what is going to happen to Ethel? What is going to happen to Sabrina? What is going to happen to this world now this dominating force is gone? And perhaps the more benevolent mother has returned. I mean, was it an evil father, let's say? We didn't think of that. The man appearing from the tree, was he, the maleficent father that was, in the guise of the ever gentle mother? We don't know. So yeah, I've really, really, really enjoyed playing this, as you can tell. I played it from start to finish. And I think, we've got a really good little story there that was prompted by tarot cards and just general inspiration from the book. And I think the book guided it very, very well. I mean, I would love to have actually used something like tea leaves, but I kind of half know how to use tarot. And because I do drink a lot of loose tea, so I wasn't sure how messy that would get if I'd have to keep like making cups of tea and reading leaves and stuff. So yeah, I'm really glad I chose tarot. And I mean, the prompts alone are really good, just rolling a d6. But for me, I like using tarot and reading the book because it gives me even more inspiration, if you know what I mean. It gives me something to chew on a little bit more. Where the prompts for me, they're slightly too structured, and that's not a criticism, that's just me. I like to kind of think of my own things. Whereas, if you didn't want to go to lengths that I have, those prompts are more than enough to get a good story. But I feel, it kind of went a little bit weird in places, and that's because I think of the tarot, and I like that, the different tangents we went on, the introduction of certain characters that were prompted by the tarot cards. Like when I drew Hanged Man for the entity coming out of the tree, like originally I was going to have some sort of undescript monster, but I thought, actually, why don't we make this an actual man? Maybe the demon has presented itself in a way that, say, a girl or any human would find most comforting. So I thought, have him dressed as a very smart man, a bit like George Leclerc, and maybe you could see the similarities there. Well, I think that's about it for this one, because it has been rather long. My next video will be either something to do with solo RPG tips, or how I got into solo role-playing games, which should be quite interesting. So yeah, I'll see you then. Bye for now.